Hey everyone, today we'll look at what happened in the 2018 data breach of the Australian National University. First off, the Australian National University, or ANU, is a national research university located in Canberra, the capital of Australia. It is regarded as one of the world's leading research universities, ranking first in Australia and Oceania in the 2019 QS World University Ranking and 50th in the world in the 2020 Times Higher Education Ranking. So, in November 2018, while ANU was applying security patches in the aftermath of an unrelated data breach that happened earlier that year in May, an unknown threat actor started a campaign that eventually led to the illegal access of the university's administrative system called the ESD, or the Enterprise Systems Domain. This system houses 19 years worth of the university's HR, financial management, and student administration data. The intrusion was detected 5 months later in April 2019, while IT staff were rolling out system upgrades. Further investigation confirmed that there was indeed a data breach. Forensic evidence showed that huge volumes of data were copied out of the system, including all of the things you see on screen. The impact was to an estimated 200,000 people based on the number of students and the staff turnover during those 19 years. So how was it done? The actors sent spear phishing emails to ANU staff in November 2018. They used a sophisticated technique that did not require user interaction, meaning the recipient did not have to download an attachment or click on a link. Simply previewing the email was enough to trigger the malware. This attack gave the actor access to a staff member's calendar, which they mined for information to refine further phishing attacks. Ultimately, they stole login credentials, and once inside the network, the actor took control of a legacy server, meaning an old server which may not be supported anymore, and hence the weakness to attacks. From this compromised server, they mapped the ANU network, located the ESD servers, and copied the data out through a compromised computer. Now, this attack was a shockingly highly sophisticated attack carried out by an actor at the very top of their game. Profiling them places them to have 5 to 10 members who spent months planning and who worked around the clock. They used custom-built malware, zero-day hacks, and knew of a range of tactics to evade detection by the university's security mechanisms. Also, they knew how to dismantle their operations to cover their tracks, leaving only a few traces of the entire campaign, which made investigation later much harder. As to who was the culprit, no one knows for sure, although authorities traced the attack back to China. The earlier attack from the previous year was also attributed to China, although China has strongly and consistently denied being involved. Interestingly, the cybersecurity firm FireEye observed Chinese state-sponsored actors targeting research institutions in Australia in the recent years. As to the motivation for the attack, that is also unclear. There is not enough evidence to speculate on why the attack was done. What was clear was that it was targeted at the ESD system. The high volume of personal information contained in the ESD would allow hackers to perform identity fraud. Meanwhile, officials who believe China is behind the attack fear that they might have stolen the data to recruit students or alumni as spies. 5 months after discovering the data breach, a detailed report was publicly released and is still available at ANU's website today. As you would expect, before the report was made public, ANU has implemented safeguards to prevent any secondary or opportunistic attacks. In fact, if there's one thing ANU would have learned from this is that they should make sure to sufficiently place protections before any public announcements. I even think that this November 2018 hack may as well have been a secondary opportunistic attack to the May 2018 data breach announcement. Now, because of the data breach, there's of course a significant financial cost to ANU. While figures are not available as to how much they spent, we can speculate that the major areas of spending came from the investigation and remediation activities, especially since external companies such as Microsoft and NORTHROP GRUMMAN were hired to help. It would also be reasonable to believe that ANU's reputation may have been negatively affected by the data breach, leading to a decline in enrollments, although we also do not have figures for this as well. Another big area of spending would be to cover the cost of hiring professional counselors. The university hired ID Care to provide expert advice to the victims, and they also funded a special call center hotline for staff and students concerned about the data breach, and this was operational 5 days a week. Long term, ANU invests heavily on a multi-year information security program to reduce the risk of these incidents from occurring again, which includes security awareness training of its staff and students, including, as you would expect, an expanded spear phishing email training. Now, how could this have been prevented from happening in the first place? Well, it would have helped if the human fence was stronger, and this can be done by holding regular social engineering training, and it would have been beneficial as well to have performed regular penetration testing of the networks so that any weaknesses could have been identified and patched immediately. Also, having a strong patch management process is key, as well as placing additional safeguards to legacy servers that cannot be patched anymore. A technical control that would have helped detect this incident early was if there was a real-time network traffic monitoring, which could be done by a security appliance with intrusion detection and intrusion prevention capabilities. A data loss prevention software could also have been installed to stop the leak from happening, as these kinds of devices can detect when huge volumes of data are being extracted out of the system. And finally, it would have helped if a better incident response plan was in place and staff were trained through regular crisis simulations. That is all. I hope you found that useful. Here are the sources that I used for this research. All the recommendations above are relevant to other organizations as well, because these are basic cybersecurity best practices. And as Australian organizations are increasingly likely to be the target of cyber attacks, they will of course also benefit from the lessons outlined here and laid out as well in ANU's official report.